Hello, my name is Jane Negridge, and I work for the Mindfulness Association. At the Mindfulness Association, we have a program called Mindfulness for Life. And this program is really designed to support the mindfulness practitioner, to help them as they move along their path, as they learn, and as they deepen and develop their practice, and really to help facilitate bringing their mindfulness practice off the cushion into their day-to-day living. One of the courses that we run through our Mindfulness for Life program is Enlightened Enterprise. And this course was designed and developed by Vin Harris, who runs his own successful business, but he's also a long-term mindfulness practitioner. And I thought I'd invite Vin in today to give us a little talk about why he feels Enlightened Enterprise or bringing mindfulness into our everyday workplaces is helpful, and how is it helpful? But first, maybe Vin, you'd like to say a little bit about yourself.
Okay, thanks Jane. Thanks for the invite to talk about Enlightened Enterprise. It's something that really engages me as being a way that we can help people and actually bring about change in the world, to be honest. I've been, as you say, a long-term meditator as a Buddhist, and then mindfulness practitioner and mindfulness tutor for more than 40 years now. And for over 30 years, I've been running a very successful company, which started off just myself on my own, a man in a van enterprise, and now employs over 30 people. And it's in the real world. You know, we restore sash windows in listed properties throughout Scotland. So it's not just a mindfulness teaching business. So what I wanted to share with people is some of my experiences and some thoughts, reflections behind how we can not only use our mindfulness practice to kind of survive at work, which I think is a little bit how people first come to it. How can I learn to meditate so I don't get so stressed out at work, and so it's not too difficult? Kind of running away from a little bit. And that's all right in the beginning. We do need to retreat to the cushion, get to know ourselves a little bit better. But then I think the ethos of the Mindfulness for Life program is, well, then how do we bring what we've learned into our lives? How do we challenge our own practice in our lives? And how do we create more benefit for ourselves and others, which is the aim of the practice, isn't it, really? So we spend a lot of time at work, let's face it. Whether that's working in a job for a company, whether that's people setting out to become a mindfulness tutor and facing all of those issues of self-employment, which I know very well, or whether it's as an entrepreneur who's developing a business. And I think the biggest problem is that a lot of people who practice mindfulness have a kind of hidden ambivalence, this feeling that, well, it's not quite cool to be in business. There's something wrong with it, that business necessarily involves being selfish, ripping off customers, exploiting employees, and ignoring the widest, the needs of society and the environment. But I think it can be like that. Obviously, we've got plenty of negative role models, but I think it doesn't have to be like that. And I think that our mindfulness practice can help us to see a different way of being. So why do I say that? Well, essentially, I think mindfulness practice, we sit with ourselves in a safe, protected space, and stuff happens in our mind all the time. And one of the things that we notice is our own reactivity, that thoughts are not particularly the problem. Stuff that arises is not particularly the problem, whether it's inside or outside. The problem, if there is one, is in our own reactivity. And that's often really challenged at work, isn't it? So could it be then that by mindfulness, getting more familiar with our own reactivity, we could run our business and run our work life in a way that allows us to respond rather than to react to situations? Because if we're constantly running our business within a very competitive mindset, that's a kind of win-lose, rather than a win-win mindset, it's a lot of work, it's a lot of hassle, it's a lot of problem solving, a lot of clearing up, a lot of firefighting, and most of it is unnecessary. Whereas if we recognize that we're all deeply interconnected and that the way it works best is when we look for solutions within our business that balance our own needs with the needs of the overall company, with the long-term needs of where we see ourselves going, and looks to empower people that work with us and for us, and provides customers with good value services and products, and is efficient and takes care of the environment and society as well. That's a huge change. And I think generally, make a bold statement, that if something is unethical, it's actually inefficient and not sustainable. So that's what I'm about, helping people to look at their business in a different way so that they can make changes.
Yes, and I love that statement that you said about thriving rather than surviving.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I think the way that that comes about in my own experience, having gone really through all the different stages of setting up and running a business, really literally man in a van right through to having management teams and now being more or less a consultant to my own business. I think the key is knowing why we're in business and why we're doing what we're doing, rather than just focusing on the skills and behaviors that we think we're supposed to do. And that can be different for everyone. So in the training on the Enlightened Enterprise, I encourage people through a series of practices and reflections and inquiries to get very clear about why you're in business. What's your particular gift or contribution that you want to make? And that in itself is inspiring. It means that you've got much more energy rather than this kind of running with the brake on, you know?
Yeah.
And I've noticed, I've always had personally a very clear sense of direction in my business, a very clear sense of what I was doing and why I was doing it. And I think that really helps. And it also helps to know sometimes when to stop, to know when to not do more than you have to do, just because you're trying to please other people or do what you're supposed to do, but really becoming more conscious in business.
Wonderful. So you'll be teaching this down in London on October 13th, 14th?
Yep, absolutely. And in a way, you know, you could say, well, how are you going to teach this stuff? Because really, it's more of a shift of attitude than it is a set of techniques. It's more of an approach to business that kind of comes from the inside out. And I've based a lot of the program on a book called The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People by Stephen Covey, which I've used personally for more than 25 years as a kind of guideline for the business. And we take people through this way of changing our habits of how we look at ourselves, how we look at our businesses and our work, and how we relate with each other as well. Because we can change our habits to be more effective and to have a more positive impact on our own lives and on the lives of others. And maybe rather than just kind of bumbling along and surviving, we can thrive and maybe even sometimes come up with a little bit of magic as well.
Oh, wonderful. With the promise of magic, I'll thank you so much, Vin, for dropping by and letting us know about the Enlightened Enterprise.
Okay, thank you.